Inch High Comic Guy here with another Comicsgate unboxing. And I got this package in the mail, and I pulled out my handy dandy razor blade to go ahead and open it, record the footage of me going ahead and opening it, and there was so much tape on this package, taping everything down far too securely than needed, that I ended up knocking over the camera, the microphone, and the laptop. So, guys, you don't need 3 miles of tape to wrap up your package, okay? One little stick of tape on the inside to make sure the flap is closed, and a nice long strip of tape to make sure that the package is closed is all that you need. If you need to use an entire roll of tape to pack one book, you're doing something wrong. And here is the content of the happy handy dandy, unbelievably taped package that I received. And it is Monster MD. All right. So this is something that I ordered many a moon ago, and I am very enthusiastic to see what is inside. Now, you take a look at this. That is a thick book to read. So this is going to take me a minute to go through. So before I do, let's go ahead and take a look at this, shall we? Pull that off screen, open this bad boy up, have the entire thing completely fall apart in the middle of opening it. So we got ourselves a little poster thing here from the team that brought you Monster MD, Terror in the Trenches. Good little advertisement. We've got a patch. You want to sew this on to your hoodie that you got from Ethan Van Sciver, which I did. That'd be a cool thing to add on. We got a card here. What is this card? This is Patient ID Fritz Spalding. Okay. So apparently he is the werewolf. And we got a bookmark. And a bookmark is definitely going to be needed considering just how absolutely massive this book is. I mean, wow. That's got to be well over 80 pages. I mean, that is darn near a manga in size. In fact, it probably would be a manga in size if they shrunk it down a bit. We also got this little pin, Monster MD pin. Let me see if I can get that closer to the camera. There you go. So that is the pin that comes with it. And if you don't want to sew the patch onto your Comicsgate apparel, you can at least wear the pin. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to stop the camera and hopefully not knock everything down, which I don't think will happen because I don't have to go through a mile of scotch tape. Oh, man. Dude, go easier on the tape. I'm going to go ahead, shut down, restart, and when the magic of editing brings me back to you, I'll have a review for Monster MD. So let's go ahead and let's talk about how we're going to score this thing. So the first thing we're going to talk about is packaging. Now, I did have a couple of issues with the packaging at the beginning because there's too much tape, but it still came in a Gemini mailer. Everything was well secured, a little over secured, and other than the bags being a bit cheap, everything was good. So I'm going to go ahead and give the packaging 3 out of 5 stars because that's what a Gemini mailer qualifies you for. Then that brings us from packaging over to talking about the cover artwork. The cover artwork is actually done by the main artist for the book, a gentleman who I believe his name is pronounced Marco Macchini. If I got that wrong, please let me know what the correct pronunciation would be. And yeah, the artwork on the interior looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, look at this. This is high quality work from beginning to end. This is really, really well done. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that artwork. This is so good. I mean, I wish most Comicsgate books looked this good. This is a far cry from, cheap newsprint like we got with Johnny Phantasm. This is just absolutely stupendous. I mean, this is high quality paper, glossy. It's just really well done. I mean, it's really thick cover. This is really, really well done. And the interior artwork throughout the entire thing is energetic, it's expressive, it's interesting. You get the emotion of the characters as we're going through the entire book. I mean, it's just so good. And like I said, this is definitely professional quality work. I mean, here, take a look at this. Take a look at this. Let's see. This whole scene here with this succubus attacking the doctor. Look at that. That is absolutely great. Yeah, like I said, great artwork throughout the entire book. I was really impressed with Marco's work, and I'm really looking forward to more of his artwork and more projects. The cover, as you can see here, it definitely sells the book. It's a little bit too yellow. They could have used a little bit more color contrast, so that's on the colorer. But the cover itself, it tells you what to expect. We got bats, we got an invisible woman who's obviously invisible, and I love the way they use her bandages and clothing to indicate that she's invisible. She's wearing a little mask. You know, it's really good. Very, very good. Very well done. I mean, you see his, you know, necrotic arm connected to his real arm. You see his doctor's jacket, which with saying Monster MD, you know what you're dealing with here. So that cover does a good job of communicating to the audience what they can expect without even having to read the title or open the book. So I'm going to go ahead and give Monsters MD's cover a 4 out of 5 stars. Very well done. This, of course, takes us to the interior artwork, and the interior artwork, again, just take a look at that. Just look at the energy that is in this book. Look how nice that looks. This is very, very well done. It's a stylized, I would say almost anime-influenced artwork. It's really, really well drawn, well done from across the board. I'm going to give the interior artwork done by Marco, again, 4 out of 5 stars. The passion and energy that you get on every single page, you can see just how much effort was being made, and it just pours into every aspect of the book. Absolutely phenomenal. The coloring of the book, if we go ahead and open it up, was done by someone by the name of Tanya Wicker. And the coloring of the book, it's dark, but it's bright. I know that sounds contradictory, but it uses black effectively in order to let you know that you're in a horror environment. But look at the coloring on his face. Look at that. Look how it lets you know as he's stepping into this crypt. The horror aspect with that transition, that hard exterior light to the foreboding red light on the interior. That is so well done. The coloring on this book, I mean, look at the little light in her eyes. I mean, it's just so good. The coloring, once again, is top notch. Absolutely fantastic work. And the coloring, it's complementary to the type of story being told throughout the entire book. I really think that she did a fantastic job, and I'm going to give her, once more, 4 out of 5 stars. I wish every comic book I read was as well colored as Monster MD. This is the kind of quality that we should expect from every single book to come out of Comicsgate. And that actually brings us to the lettering, and the lettering was done by, you guessed it, the lettering was done by Eric Weathers. Because of course it was done by Eric Weathers. It's a Comicsgate book. Eric Weathers has to letter everything. As I am fond of saying, Eric Weathers, even on his worst day, will give you a 3 out of 5 star performance when it comes to the lettering that he does in a book. But up to this time, I have not seen him go above and beyond. I mean, I've seen him get up to a 4 on some projects, but I don't know if it's just that his heart's not in it or if it's a matter of editorial harping on him to make the work better. But this book is the best lettering I have seen in any comic from Eric Weathers. Let me open this up and show this to you. I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Now, obviously, this first page here, I mean, it's normal comic book lettering. It's not anything super crazy or weird. But the thing is, his dialogue balloons, and again, you have mortal creatures, you're not going to get crazy with the dialogue balloon. But for his dialogue balloons, they're very good. This is some of the best work I've seen, but doing dialogue balloons is not enough. When you do lettering, you have to give the audience a sense of the voice of the character, their tone, their inflection. You have to hear their voice when you read the page. And a good letterer can go ahead and communicate the story to you, but a great letterer makes you feel what the character is experiencing just by the way they put the dialogue balloons on the page and the font they use, how expressive and how much energy they put into it. And this exemplifies Eric Weathers' best work. Eric Weathers is actually putting so much passion. I mean, look at this dialogue balloon right here. Look at the passion and energy that he's putting in there. And it just keeps getting better as we go. You know, whether it is, him referring to her by a not nice word, or whether it is him going ahead and dealing with, fighting a villain right here. He's emotionally pushed to his edge. He's dealing with a lot of issues. His assistant is dealing with a lot of issues. I love the way they use black for the villain here. But as you're going, there's just so much energy, passion in the dialogue balloons. You can feel and sense every aspect of what the character is experiencing and feeling by the lettering in the book. I have not seen Eric Weathers put this much effort into a prior book from Comicsgate. And that's why, because of the energy that he's putting in there and how it just jumps off the page, I'm giving Eric Weathers 5 out of 5 stars on the lettering on Monster MD. Eric, maybe it's just because guys like me have been, kind of criticizing you for just putting in the minimum effort required. Maybe it's because you had editorial on this book. Because this book was actually another book, and I'll show you on this other book that came with it. It's edited by this Brandon Crothers person. And I don't know if that was a determining factor, but bravo, Eric. You really knocked it out of the park this time with your lettering. This was really, really good. My hat's off to you, man. Fantastic work. 5 out of 5 stars. And now that we've talked about all of that, let's go ahead and talk about the writing. The writing done by Von Klause, which is an obvious pseudonym, and I don't blame him. I'm using a pseudonym in Comicsgate. I don't want to get blacklisted myself. But this is top-notch writing from across the board. I don't know if this guy has professional experience someplace else, but it sure feels like he has some experience as a writer prior to his debut here in Comicsgate. The pacing is really solid throughout the entire book. The 3-act story structure is present throughout. We are introduced to all of our characters. We have an emotional hook for all of our characters. And we have a compelling and interesting story that carries us from the beginning to the very end. The only thing that happened throughout the entire book that I felt was a little bit of a hindrance was at the very beginning we have what's essentially a movie montage scene of Dr. Black actually interacting with and serving his patients, the zombies and werewolves and vampires and other monsters that he's a doctor for. The problem is that the scene just before that indicated that he's looking to get out of the business, and yet we see him in the business and it continues on for several pages. This seemed a bit out of place, like it should have come in earlier in the book than it was actually shown. And it falls into the category of what we in the industry call a little darling. It's that scene that you really want to put in the book, but is not necessary. That you really want to show on the big screen, but doesn't actually serve the film. Now don't get me wrong, this montage scene was great and it helped you better understand the relationship between Dr. Black and all of the monsters that he's serving. And it helps to give you a better idea of the dangers involved in his work. but it really feels like this should have been at the beginning of the book, leading into the opening scene, which you can see right here, where he's working on a werewolf. It feels like it should have gone here, then gone to the werewolf, and then gone into the main story. And it didn't. And I can understand why. That montage would ruin the pacing at the beginning of the book. But it's still good. It's still really good, solidly written, solidly told. And I've got to give Von Klause a lot of props. You did a fantastic job making me care about these characters and making me want to finish reading this story. The only problem is that Matt Krotz did it just a little bit better than you did. So I'm actually going to give the writing for Von Klause 4 out of 5 stars. It is some of the best writing that I've seen in Comicsgate, and I've got to commend you. You made me fall in love with these characters, and I can't wait to see what you do next as far as this series is concerned, and your upcoming book, The Terror in the Trenches. I'm definitely going to go buy that as well. So to those of you who have watched this video, please go ahead and check out Monster MD. If you can get a copy of it for yourself, please do so. This is very reasonably priced. You get a whole lot of comic book for your dollar. The story is fantastic. The artwork is fantastic. And if you want to see what Eric Weathers can do when he's making a 5 out of 5 star book when it comes to the lettering, this is the book you want to read. Final score for Monster MD, 4 out of 5 stars. One of the very, very best books in all of Comicsgate. Von Klause and his team did a fantastic job, and once more, a shout out to editor Brandon Cruther. You did a fantastic job making sure all the pieces were assembled together and making sure that everybody did their absolute best work. 4 out of 5 stars. This is a doctor worth seeing. I'm your host, Inch High Comic Guy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Gab. You can find me on mine. But most of all, I want to thank every single one of you for watching this video today. So be sure to support your Comicsgate creators and support Monster MD.